Fellow citizens and residents, today is no ordinary day in the history of our beloved nation. It is a day in which we celebrate 40 years of independence under the theme Resilience, Reflection, and Recovery. Our achievement of independence on November 1st, 1981 was the most decisive moment in our nation's history. Our people took charge of our own affairs, wresting them at last from the grip of a colonial power that for centuries kept previous generations either enslaved or exploited and in a state of underdevelopment. We owe an historic debt of gratitude to all those generations of our forebears who, despite the most severe of punishments and deprivation, never relinquished the ambition of freedom or the struggle to attain it. It falls to us to honor their lives, their unrelenting fight, and their sacrifice. I know that the things that unite us, such as our forebears that we honor, our shared hopes and common aspirations, and our love for our country, far outweigh what divides us. And so on this day, we reaffirm that despite our political persuasion and other differences, we are one nation under God. That whether we claim to be Antiguan or Barbudan or both, we are one nation, indivisible. That irrespective of our religion, color, creed, or class, we are all one people, one nation with a common destiny. That is why today, with hands on our hearts, through the travail we now endure with the COVID-19 pandemic and any future trials we may face, we pledge ourselves to each other and to our common cause of continued freedom and the shared purpose of making prosperous our beloved country. Fellow citizens, our generation is obliged to record the struggles and the names of those who made possible our freedom, our rights, our capacity to make decisions about our own affairs, and our advancement. In this connection, I propose to request the Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, in association with the principal of the Five Islands campus and the Ministry of Education, to commission a textbook on the many struggles that brought our country from plantation slavery and colonialism to 40 years of national independence, and to inscribe within it the names of all who served in that noble quest. My government will fund this project, for in the words of the American philosopher George Santayana, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Our people must know from whence they came and should remain motivated by the resilience and successes of their forebears. I recognize that completing this textbook will require careful research over many months from a multiplicity of sources. Its compilation will not be overnight, but it will be an invaluable compendium for this generation and succeeding generations of our nation's story and the unrelenting efforts of all those heroes and heroines. They endured the shackles of slavery and colonialism, fought to give us and those generations that will follow us freedom of speech, of learning, of decision-making that we shall enjoy into perpetuity. The textbook must become essential reading in secondary schools, documenting the struggles and the conquests of our people. It must be part of our tribute to our forebears and a legacy to our descendants. Fellow citizens, over the last 40 years, our nation has made great strides despite the brain of vacuous partisan voices in our community who see nothing good in our country simply because no one trusted them to be responsible for our affairs. Our people have benefited from expanded national ownership of assets, and we now control the commanding heights of our country's economy. We own the majority shares in the sole petrol distribution company on the island, Western Israel Company, WEOC. We own the majority of banks in our country. We have 2 seaports. We have the most modern airport in the Caribbean, with a second to be completed on Barbuda by the middle of next year. We own the Halcyon Hotel property, and the government will soon acquire the Jolly Beach Hotel. In addition, we enlarged and upgraded health facilities, expanded and increased our secondary school plant, established a high-class and affordable university, and we also provided better quality jobs and expanded car and business ownership. Despite the socioeconomic ravages of COVID, our country still enjoys one of the highest per capita incomes in the Latin American and Caribbean region. There is a housing revolution taking place in our country, resulting in affordable, resilient housing that is far superior to what they were 40 years ago. Our tourism product is still rated amongst the best in the world, despite the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have more persons on university scholarships per capita than any other country in the Caribbean. It is significant that our university campus at Five Islands is the first in the Caribbean to be linked to the prestigious and internationally acclaimed Harvard University's School of Business. This achievement is the result of an initiative that, with our ambassador to the United States, Ronald Saunders, and I launched several years ago with the president of Harvard University as part of reparatory justice for slavery. It will be recalled that the Harvard Law School was the backbone of the university for decades. It was built on an endowment from Isaac Royale, whose fortune was made from brutal plantation slavery here in Antigua. Today, Antigua and Barbuda students at Five Islands will benefit from learning and receiving certification from the Harvard Business School and the UE Five Islands campus. My government does not stop in its quest for reparatory justice for the benefit of our country and all its people, and we never will. These achievements of the last 40 years have been led by the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party administration, which for 30 of those 40 years of our independence guided and administered the growth and development of our country in all its sectors. This is testimony that the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party administrations have been largely responsible for the advancement of our state since independence. Over that period, the people of this country worked for our country, gratified to be free Antiguans and Barbudans, proud of our flag and our national anthem, and determined to make our country loved at home and respected abroad. In the last 18 months, the mettle of our people has been tested as we all endure the immense challenges that the COVID-19 pandemic inflicted upon us, as it did everywhere in the world. But the majority of our people stood up to it, none more so than our frontline workers, our doctors, nurses, hospital staff of all categories, our immigration and customs officers, our port workers, and the members of our police force. Our nation was and continues to be in a war, and these workers were the soldiers on the front line of the defense, putting their own lives on the line to protect the rest of us. These great people deserve our deepest respect and our gratitude, both of which I give to them on our collective behalf. The battle is not yet over. We thank the U.S. government for the second donation of Pfizer vaccines, which would contribute significantly to our reaching the inoculation of 70 to 80% of our population by the end of the year. Fellow citizens, there is no doubt that as a nation, we have faced no greater test of our capacity to manage our own affairs effectively and well than the test of the COVID-19 pandemic. You will recall that at the start of 2019, we were enjoying the most sustainable rates of economic growth and high economic growth that our nation had ever experienced. Through astute management of the economy and prudent investment in our productive and knowledge-based sectors, we're already on the course of unprecedented prosperity. And it should be recalled that just 5 years earlier, in 2014, my government had inherited an economy in shambles. 25% of our gross domestic product had been squandered by the former UPP administration. Unemployment had catapulted to more than 22%. The government's debt, which stood over 104% of GDP, was squeezing life out of the economy, and infrastructure was crumbling. Debtors were closing in, and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, had a stranglehold of conditions governing the country. In less than 5 years, your government, your Labour Party administration, turned that situation around and rebuilt our economy and our finances rapidly. We repaid the UPP debt to the IMF ahead of time, freed our nation from its dictates, and invested it in creating new jobs and expanding our socio-economic infrastructure. The result was a buoyant economy, high employment, increased investment, and general improvement in prosperity. Throughout the last 18 months, amid the savage blows of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was at the same astute management and careful investment of resources that caused us to expand and improve our health services, save hundreds of lives, protect livelihoods, expand infrastructure, as we continue to support the poor and vulnerable, and at the same time limited the amount of debt accumulation. When this pandemic subsides, countries all over the world would have incurred unsustainable levels of debt that will cripple their capacity to rebuild. Their debt servicing levels will be so high that there will be little left to grow their economies and care for their vulnerable. Similarly, our debt to GDP has risen precipitously from the reduction in GDP and increased borrowings to fund our response to COVID. Despite this increased debt and the challenge associated with it, we will ultimately be in a better place. Yes, we will resolve the debt burden created by COVID and ultimately would not have added to its burden on the shoulders of this generation or the next. Fellow citizens, I'm not downplaying the crisis that now confronts every economy in the world, including the largest and richest economy, the United States. The global economic circumstances will affect us as they have done in the past. But your government has a proven track record of resilience, a history of turning adversity to opportunity, for successful financial management, and for implementing rapid recovery and rebuilding. We have already laid the foundation for yet another takeoff early next year, provided we inoculate 70 to 80% of our people by the end of this year, allowing tourism and investment to resume. The process of diversifying our economy is on the way in agriculture, fisheries, healthcare services, including stem cells therapy, transshipment, and logistics, special economic zones, digitalization, and new fintech, financial services, including virtual business assets. We are creating conditions for increased agriculture and fisheries production to improve food security and nutrition, while creating profitable business and more jobs. Part of this is the development of the medical cannabis industry, which after the delay caused by the COVID-19 pandemic is ready for mobilization. Our water challenges will be alleviated by the commissioning of 2 reverse osmosis plants within the next 90 days, and we will install a 3rd desalination plant by June of next year. We are expanding our telecommunications fiber network to open up rapid and wider broadband to attract new industries and to significantly improve the capacity of existing firms to utilize the internet to multiply the exportation of services and increase employment. We are also well into building out the network of fiber connections to homes at affordable prices. Objective is that every home should be able to have broadband internet connections to improve and expand access to knowledge and communication worldwide. I'm also very conscious that the greatest challenge confronting all humanity, especially small island countries such as ours, is climate change. That is why I am not in Antigua and Barbuda today, but in Glasgow at COP26, where the fate of our country may well hang in the balance. I am not sitting by folding my arms in fear or leaving it to powerful polluting countries to decide our future. I am in Glasgow to stand up fearlessly for Antigua and Barbuda and all Antiguans and Barbudans in our quest for climate justice, especially at this time as we celebrate our status as an independent sovereign nation. My fellow citizens, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. observed that, and I quote, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." End of quote. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party administration has successfully managed the economic and financial challenges of our country to overcome crises created by others. While others wrung their hands and gnashed their teeth over the calamity over which they presided, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party administration studiously, carefully, and wisely recovered and rebuilt our economy for the benefit of all. We have done it before, and we will certainly do it again. As we celebrate all that we have together achieved over the last 40 years of independence of our beloved country, we are determined to make the next 40 years even better and more prosperous for all. I wish you all a very happy 40th anniversary of our nation's independence as we reflect on the challenges and continue to soldier on resiliently towards a strong recovery. God bless you, and God bless our beloved Antigua and Barbuda.